Meet the Daltons. Like you, they wanted to create a plan for their future. And like you, they had questions and needed answers. At SPRINGPOINT Senior Living, we have solutions. So, the Daltons decided to take the next steps in planning their future, and you can too. The Daltons now live in a SPRINGPOINT continuing care retirement community. They're enjoying an active lifestyle, new friendships, and the joy of maintenance-free living. And they now have peace of mind knowing that on-site health care is available should their needs change in the future. To become a SPRINGPOINT resident, you pay a one-time entrance fee that secures your home. From beautifully appointed apartments to spacious cottages, we offer a variety of living options. As a resident, your monthly service fee covers all your living expenses. SPRINGPOINT makes it easier to pay your bills with a single monthly check. The monthly service fee covers a variety of services and amenities, including utilities, interior and exterior maintenance, 24-hour on-site security, meals, housekeeping, and transportation services. Plus, you'll enjoy full access to the community fitness and aquatic center, library, enrichment programs, entertainment, spiritual care programs, and much more. We also offer high-quality on-site health care services that cater to the needs of each individual. Our full continuum of care offers increasing levels of care services that you may need as you age. This includes independent living options to home care, assisted living, rehabilitation, nursing, and memory care services. So, what makes SPRINGPOINT unique? We are CARF accredited, meaning we exceed the toughest standards for quality senior living. We are a non-profit organization, so serving our residents is our primary concern. We also have a rich history of inclusion, creating a culture that encourages all our residents to live their best lives, regardless of their differences. Better yet, our complimentary Move Ahead program helps organize your move. Our caring team is here to minimize the work and make your transition easier. Now the Daltons not only have solid plans for the future, but are enjoying the carefree lifestyle of a SPRINGPOINT community. And they can now enjoy all of the activities and services that we have to offer. It's time to take control of your future. Contact us today for more information.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Bill Brotman. I'm the Senior Director of Sales and Marketing here at the Oaks at Denville, a SPRINGPOINT senior living community. On behalf of the Oaks, I'd like to thank you all for joining us here today for our Life Care presentation. Before I get into the Life Care seminar, I want to just kind of go over a little bit more about continuing care retirement community life. As you saw in that short little clip, it basically gives you an idea that it's an all-inclusive, that the person that's moving here is writing one check, and it's a great way of life. But there's more to it than that. A continuing care retirement community has independent living, assisted living, long-term care, and subacute rehab. And those are terms that you might be familiar with. However, I want to go from the back end, from the subacute rehab, all the way up to the independent living end of this, and explain a little bit about why people make a move here. So I'd like to do that now before we start that life care event. So if you go to the subacute rehab, the concept of a subacute rehab, well, what is that? A subacute rehab, in my eyes, is the part of a hospital that hospitals don't have anymore. If you remember, you used to be able to go to a hospital for a procedure and you might be there for a week or two. Well, now, if you're lucky, you're there for maybe 3 or 4 days, and then you either go home or you go to a subacute rehab. So a subacute rehab is the part of the hospital doesn't have anymore, and that is really where you get physical therapy, occupational, and speech therapy. They get you back on your feet. More often than not, Medicare is covering a few weeks of that, so there's no out-of-pocket cost. And after about 20 days, then there's a certain portion that you would pay out of pocket. But after subacute rehab, most people would go home. If you think about subacute rehab, though, subacute rehab is not a place where people live. It is a temporary stay. It's not also done by choice. Nobody says, I can't wait to go to a subacute rehab. It's usually after a hospitalization, people go to subacute rehab, get back on their feet. So it's a temporary stay, and it's not an I want to, it's probably an I have to. Going forward, looking at long-term care, that's another part of the continuum of care here at the Oaks. Long-term care is what we all remember as nursing care. Back in the day, there were only 3 different options when somebody was getting older. They either remained in their own home, they moved in with their adult children, or they moved to a nursing home. That just used to be how it was about 30 years plus further back, 30 years ago. So a nursing community or a long-term care facility is really a hospital setting. There's nurses round the clock. The person who lives there really needs help with everything, including things that would be performed by a nurse. They cannot live on their own. Nobody says, I can't wait to move to a long-term care community or a nursing home. That's also an I have to make a move. It's not I want to make a move. That person has to be there, but the difference between that and a subacute rehab is that subacute rehab is temporary and long-term care is permanent. Additionally, we have assisted living here at the Oaks at Denville. Assisted living was created approximately 25 or 30 years ago, and the first community or company in the United States that was an assisted living company was Sunrise Senior Living. And the way that came about was that the 2 owners, or the future owners of Sunrise Senior Living, were going over to the Netherlands to go visit a relative, and they thought that person was going to be in a nursing home. And that's what we had here in the United States. And when they got there, they found that it was assisted living. I don't think that's what they called it, but it was what we call assisted living. That person was not in a nursing community. They did need help. They needed assistance with activities of daily living. And there's a lot of activities of daily living: bathing, dressing, toileting, feeding yourself, etc. What they found was we didn't have that here in the United States, so they developed that when they came back. So Sunrise Senior Living was the first assisted senior living community in the country. Now, there are many different ones. Part of the continuum of care is that we at the Oaks at Denville have an assisted living community. And again, that person doesn't need round-the-clock nursing care, but they need assistance with 2, at least 2, of the 5 activities of daily living. And those are bathing, dressing, toileting, feeding yourself, getting up, and transferring. If that person cannot do at least 2 of those 5 activities of daily living on their own, they probably can't go on with the rest of the day. Think about it. If someone can't get out of bed, and then they can't get bathed or shower themselves, probably pretty much going to need some help. So that's what assisted living is. We have that here at the Oaks. Again, that's probably not I want to move to. It's probably I have to. And again, that's a permanent move. So assisted living is I have to, permanent move. Skilled nursing or long-term care, have to, permanent move. Subacute rehab, temporary, but I have to. And the biggest part of a continuing care retirement community is independent living. We're all independent living. That means we come and go as we please. We don't have curfews. We don't need assistance with our activities of daily living, or at least all of them, maybe a little bit of help. But in general, an independent living person really can do at least 4 or 5 of their activities of daily living on their own without any additional assistance. So if we already have independent living where we are now, right, where you live, you're independent living, why would you move to an independent living community in a CCRC? That's the question. And the way I put it is, our independent living is at a CCRC is really independent living on steroids. What do I mean by that? Well, it's safer, smarter, more secure. People have many different reasons why they look at a continuing care retirement community as we get older. Now, not to scare anybody, but the number one cause of death after the age of 80 isn't heart disease, it's not lung disease, it's not cancer. It's falling. Falling is the number one cause of death after the age of 80. And what do you usually break when you fall? Now, I can't hear you, but I know a bunch of you just said your hip. True, your hip, a femur, an arm, an elbow. A fall changes everything. Sometimes you can hit your head too. So does it cause death immediately? Sometimes. But sometimes it doesn't, but the body breaks down after that, and it just doesn't recuperate. So the number one cause of death statistically after the age of 80 is falling. So some people look at our continuing care retirement community and our independent living apartments because there are no stairs, there's no bathtubs, there's grab bars in the showers, the commodes, the toilets are raised, everything is easier, the doorways are wider. What does that mean? That means that if you ever need a wheelchair or a walker, you can easily get in and out of the community or your apartment. Everything is one floor living. Cortec wood style flooring, easy to get around. It's maintenance free living. Housekeeping is included. Every 2 weeks, our housekeepers will come in. You need something fixed, anything breaks in your apartment, a washer, a dryer, dishwasher, microwave oven, we take care of it. No extra cost to the resident. It's also one check that you're writing. It's covering your heat, your hot water, your electric, public water, public sewer, transportation to and from your doctor within 12 miles, transportation to local plays and museums, food shopping, etc. Activities, events, swimming pool. We have Tai Chi, meditation, yoga, library, films, happy hour, trivial pursuit. I can go on and on. This place is a cruise ship that doesn't go anywhere. So the person that's looking to move to a CCRC says, hey, I want an easier, safer, smart life. I still want independent living, but I want to use this as my home base. I don't want to worry about stairs. I don't want to pay real estate taxes anymore. I want a safe, smart, secure environment where I can live. It's hard enough to make this type of move in your late 60s, 70s, and 80s. Can you imagine having to make this move at a later date? Some people wait and they don't move to a continuing care retirement community, and they move when they have to. And what do we say have to's are? Assisted living or long-term care nursing facilities. Moving is difficult. As we get older, it gets harder and harder. So the person that looks at a continuing care retirement community is really looking because they're planners. Many of you may have long-term care insurance. That means you're a planner. Yes, it also means that you're smart, that's right. But you're a planner. A planner is looking for the future. I don't have to do anything. I want to do it. So that's why people move into continuing care retirement communities, especially coming into independent living. Most people don't wait till it's assisted living or long-term care. They move in as independent, and if and when they ever need to go through the continuum of care, like assisted living or long-term care, it's easier. Why? Because you're already in the community. You've already downsized. You've made your move here. So that's the basic concept. I don't want to go too much further into the continuing care retirement community, but what I do want to talk about before we talk about life care is qualifying to move into a community like this. This isn't for everyone. You have to qualify three different ways. You have to qualify financially, you have to qualify medically, and you have to qualify by being assessed by my nursing team here at the Oaks at Denville. So let's talk about the first part about qualifying. This is an entrance fee community. You're paying a chunk of money up front. It feels like you're buying a condo or a co-op. You're not, but that's what it feels like. You're paying this chunk of money up front. Most people are selling their home or they're liquidating part of their portfolio to come up with that entrance fee. You're also going to have to qualify and pay a monthly service fee, which is like glorified rent, but it covers all the things we spoke about a moment ago: your heat, your hot water, your electric, all your activities. It's a one-stop shop. You're writing one check and it's covering your monthly service fee living. It also covers 30 meals per person. So if there's two people in an apartment, it's going to cover 60 meals a month. It covers the transportation to and from your doctor within 12 miles, etc. All the things I discussed earlier. But you have to qualify financially. So when that time comes, I'm going to look at your income and your assets. I'm going to put it into a software program we call FinAid. It's based on your age, your income, your assets, your gender. Why your gender? Because women live longer than men. We take that information, we put it into the software, and it tells me, yes, you can move here, and no, you can't. If you can, we go to the next step. That's medical approval. You'll get forms from us. You'll bring them to your physician. Your doctor will fill out, hypothetically, Mrs. Smith. Mrs. Smith is suitable for independent living. The physician will sign off. We'll get that form back. So now we've been financially qualified, you've been medically qualified, but now my nurses are going to take that medical qualification and they're going to ask you a question, or a group of questions, actually. They're going to have you come in for an assessment. At that assessment, they're going to look at your balance. They're going to look at your gait, how you walk. They're going to ask you questions like, who's the president of the United States? Count backwards from 100 by whatever number. I'm going to ask you 3 words, and I'm going to ask you to repeat those 3 words back to me in 5 minutes. They're going to ask about your family. Do you have children? What are their names? How old are they? Where do you live? They're going to ask you a lot of questions. You don't have to get them all right, but you can't get them all wrong either. That's how we assess, is somebody suitable for independent living here at the Oaks at Denville. So that just gives you an idea. So in wrapping it up, a continuing care retirement community has independent living, assisted living, long-term care, and subacute rehab. You have to qualify financially, you have to qualify medically, and you get assessed. Once you get all through those 3 qualifications, you can move into the community. So with that said, now that you have a good feel for what a continuing care retirement community is, I want to talk a little bit about life care. As I had mentioned earlier, it's an entrance fee community. And I'm going to put a PowerPoint presentation on now so that we can look and get a feel for what that looks like. So when we talk about the Oaks at Denville and life care, there are 2 different types of entrance fees. You can buy into the community with a fee-for-service entrance fee or a traditional life care entrance fee. And I'm going to explain the differences. So we have new pricing right now here at the Oaks at Denville. We have 90% refundable agreements, and we have traditional declining balance life care agreements. And I'm going to try to go through this relatively slowly. And at the end, in the chat, you can put in any questions that you might have for me. So the 90% refundable contract, which is a fee-for-service agreement, how does that work? Well, I'm going to give you an example of our 2020 prices for a one-bedroom apartment and evergreen apartment. It's our most common apartment. It's offered currently at $276,200. And as I mentioned earlier to you, that $276,200 is the entrance fee. It is not financed. You're not getting a mortgage. You're either selling your home or you're liquidating some assets, or maybe you have cash readily available. When you pay that $276,200, 10% of that $276,000 comes right off the top and stays with the Oaks at Denville, SPRINGPOINT Senior Living, which is our parent company. That's $27,620 that we keep. That leaves a balance of $248,580, which is your money. When you leave the community, it goes back to you. If God forbid you pass, it would go to your estate. So you have to pay your monthly service fees once you're living here. Your monthly service fees cover your heat and your hot water. It's your glorified rent. So as long as you pay those bills and you don't go into assisted living or long-term care, or even if you do go into assisted living and long-term care, as long as you're paying your monthly service fees, you will get back the full 90% entrance fee that you paid. So in this case, you would get back $248,580. That would go to you as the ex-resident, or it would go to your family if God forbid you passed. The traditional life care agreement is a little different. So I'm giving you the same example for this exact same apartment, an evergreen apartment. But this time the evergreen is offered at $275,200. The same 10% is going to come right off the top. That's $275,000 at $200, and 10% of that is $27,520. That's what stays with the Oaks at Denville and SPRINGPOINT Senior Living. That leaves $247,680, which goes back to you or to your family if God forbid you passed. However, it works a little differently. It's what we call a declining balance entrance fee. So that $247,680, the refundable portion of the agreement, is refundable at that number the first month you're here. After that, it is what we call a declining balance entrance fee. 2% of the initial entrance fee will be deducted for each month that you live in the community. What does that look like? The entrance fee, the original entrance fee, was $275,200. The refundable portion was $247,680. 2% of the original $275,200, which in this case is $5,504, will be deducted from the refund, the refundable portion, the refund to $47,680 every single month. So if we look at it this way, you will see the refund is $247,680. Every month it will decline by $5,504. So after the first month, $242,176 is what would get refunded. The second month, only $236,672. The fourth month, the third month, $231,168. So as you can see, after 48 months, there is no refund going back to the estate or to the resident that left here. So you have to think, why would I want to pay this big chunk of money up front and get none of it back? Because it's a life care agreement. It's different than a fee-for-service agreement. Life care is a very specific type of agreement. It offers you health care and costs that stay predictable throughout your entire stay at the community. There are additional benefits to the new traditional contract. There are tax write-offs. So without getting too complex, especially that you're not here right in front of me, I'm going to give you a general overview. So this past year, in 2019, the tax write-offs are a portion of your entrance fee, which is considered prepaid medical expenses. You're allowed to write off prepaid medical expenses on your taxes, aren't you? Well, let's talk about the 90% refundable contract, which is fee for service, first. 40% of the non-refundable portion of the entrance fee qualifies as prepaid medical expenses. So what does that mean? Well, if I pay $276,200, that's my upfront entrance fee. 10% we said was $27,620. Well, 40% of that number is write-offable. So if you multiply $27,620 and you multiply that times 40%, that's $11,048 that you should be able to write off against your taxes. I'm not an accountant. You would talk to your accountant, but that's what you should be entitled to. What if you got the traditional LifeCare agreement? Here's the difference. Remember, you're not going to get that money back after 4 years because it declines every single month that you're here. There's a big write-off at the beginning. 94% of the entire entrance fee qualifies for prepaid medical expenses. So if you paid $275,200, 94% of that is $258,688. That would be the refund, would be the write-offable portion that you could use against your taxes because it is a traditional life care agreement. The government sees that entrance fee as prepaid medical expenses and will allow you to write 94% of that off. Now, not everybody needs to write off $258,000 off their taxes, but if you have a big tax bill that year, in the year that you paid your entrance fee, that's a slam dunk. That's a really good benefit. So besides that, though, there's much more to life care. Without a life care contract, so if we do a fee-for-service agreement, let's talk about that. We spoke about the entrance fee. Let's talk about the monthly service fees. So this year, if I move into an evergreen because I purchased a 90% refundable fee-for-service agreement, my monthly service fee will be $2,763. In independent living, that monthly service fee goes up in January of every single year that I live here. It usually will go up between 3 and 4%. So hypothetically, let's take the number 3% just for example purposes. If it goes up 3% a year over the next 10 years, by the time we get to 2029, I think I should say 2030, I would be paying $3,713 for that apartment. That's what my monthly service fee will be. It's the same thing if I go to assisted living. It'll still go up around 3% a year. By the time I need to get to assisted living in 2030, what do I mean by that? Hypothetically, I move in this year and I'm 75. But now I'm 85 and I need assistance with activities of daily living. So now I move to assisted living. It will cost me $10,717. That's the assume that it went up 3% a year. If I need to go into skilled nursing in 2030, it'll be $18,650. Why are the fees different in each level of care? Because it's a fee for service agreement. I pay a higher fee for the service that I'm getting. So in independent living, I'm not getting a lot of services. I'm getting meals and transportation and housekeeping and maintenance and activities. But as I go into assisted living, now I'm getting some care. Maybe I'm getting bathing or dressing. When I get into skilled nursing, I'm getting help with everything. So in a fee-for-service agreement, I pay a higher fee as I go through the continuum care. So what we said is, again, rehashing and going over this, recapping, in 2030, I'll be paying about $3,700 a month in independent living, a little over $10,000, almost $11,000 a month in assisted living. And when I get to skilled nursing, I'll pay probably $18,000 to $19,000 a month. So here's where the real benefit of life care is. LifeCare stabilizes my monthly service fee for life. That's why it's called LifeCare. Same scenario. I'm living in an evergreen. I move in this year, 2020. I'm paying $3,082 a month. But now in 10 years, and we said it'll go up around 3% a year, I'm paying $4,142 in independent living, and I'm 85 years old. But now I need to make a move into assisted living. I moved to assisted living. It's not going to cost me 10 or 11,000. It's going to cost me the same rate that I was paying in independent living, 41.42. If I need to go to independent living that same year, and not independent, I'm sorry, if I need to go into long-term care right from independent living, let's say I never go to assisted living, but now I need long-term care, instead of it being around 18 or 19,000 a month, now it's going to be 41.42. So you can see how it levels out the payments. I'm paying the same in independent as I will in assisted, as I will in skilled nursing. Those are great savings. So what does it look like? So potentially, look at this PowerPoint slide. In 2030, if I live in independent living and it's a 90% refundable agreement, I'm paying $27.13 a month. If I have a traditional life care, I'm paying about $400 more a month in a traditional life care independent living apartment. So yes, I'm paying a few $100s more in independent living. But when I need to move to assisted living, look how it jumps. Assisted living, $10,717 under the 90% refundable agreement. Under the traditional life care agreement, look at how it jumps. It doesn't. It's $4,142, and that's what I was paying in independent living. If I needed to go from independent living directly into long-term care under a refundable agreement, $18,650 a month. If I do the same thing in a traditional life care agreement, $4,142. If you look at the small print there next to the assisted living, it'll say I'm paying $4,142 a month. That's an annual savings as compared to $10,717 a month of $78,900. If I'm in assisted living for 2 years, the life care agreement will save me almost $158,000 in a 2-year period. If I go into long-term care, the savings are substantial, because now if I'm there for a year, I'm talking about saving almost $175,000 a year. If I'm there for 2 years, $348,000. If I'm there for 3 years, you're talking about $500,000. So you can see some real substantial differences as to why somebody might want a traditional life care agreement. I want to basically take questions now. I'm looking at your chat. You can type in anything that you're interested in discussing with me, any questions. I wouldn't put anything in that's your personal questions, nothing to do with your personal health care or your personal finances. That's something we can do one-to-one on a phone call. But for general questions, please feel free to type in the chat box and ask me anything you like, and we'll take about 20 minutes to answer all those questions. With that said, I really wanted to thank all of you for coming today. It really was a pleasure having you. And we're going to stay in touch, and we're going to be running these seminars monthly, whether it be a life care or it might be a senior living options type of seminar, or maybe it's a more in-depth CCRC seminar as to what goes on with regard to day-to-day living, etc. Because that seminar alone could probably be 45 minutes to an hour just on that. But I wanted to thank all of you for attending today. It really was a pleasure. I'm going to give you my phone number. If you want to call me directly, my number is 973-664-3725. If you really are interested and you'd like to find out more about the available apartments and see the available apartments, we'll be doing other live shoots where you'll be able to see specific apartments. And just so you know, I have 27 different floor plans. So I have something that'll suit everyone's budget, everyone's needs and wants. And those start anywhere from studios all the way up to 1-bedroom apartments. Once again, I wanted to thank you so much for attending today. The pleasure was all mine. Thank you so very, very much.